Welcome, everyone. I would like to emphasize only that this will be my first speech live, because usually I am doing online speeches internally in our company. So sorry for a little shake in the voice today. I will do my best for this presentation today. So thank you. So my name is Andrzej Rogowski. I am social user acquisition manager in BoomBit. I am managing small department in BoomBit as a team lead in here. I started working in the company 3 years ago as a business intelligence developer, and basically with little success, I created a few dashboards which we are using up until now. And that's me. I'm good at numbers, so the presentation will be about numbers. And this is me. I grew a beard. I have my glasses on the head. I hope to change the profile picture soon, but that was what I had from professional picture in here. As I said, I'm working in BoomBit. We are international mobile game developer and publisher with teams all over the world. We are producing titles including hyper-casual, casual, and mid-core projects. Many of them are in different categories. Our goal is to combine a developer-friendly environment focused on creativity with data-driven decision-making. So we are basing all of our decisions made on assumptions which we are taking out from our tools, which are created internally as well. As BoomBit created such global hits as Hunt Royale, Ramp Car Jumping, Slingshot, Stunt Driver and Sports, Tiny Gladiators and Darts Club, and many, many more. I can say that we have hundreds of them in active campaigns in this moment, so basically a lot of data to be harnessed. We have 300 people on board, 70 million annual income, 1.3 billion downloads already, and this number is constantly growing, so I'm happy to work in here. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity to have me here today. Today's topic of my presentation will be incorporating Pareto law in user acquisition to maximize your mobile game potential. It's quite long, but it's yet simple, let's say, in the terms of what will be happening. You will encounter today the data which I gathered from our titles. I grabbed from 20 examples, only a few to present it today to you. And my main point in here is just to actually grab your interest over the topic of the user LTV data and actually try to harness it in user acquisition in a way where you will be able to provide a sustainable growth to your applications. So yeah, but okay. So firstly, let me introduce the father of the Pareto law, which was Wilhelm Wilfredo Pareto. He was born in 1848, and back then he created a rule which is vastly used in many companies across the world, and not only. He stated back then that 80% of kingdom of the land in the Kingdom of Italy was possessed by 20% of the population of it. And he created a law. This was not only his one sentence. He was a politician who was doing this based on this assumption. He is basically the man who created the law itself. Before I will start analyzing the data itself, I would like to give you some examples of usage which will show to you my approach to it a little. So first of all, Joseph Huran, in book titled Quality Handbook, reshaped the 2080 rule to the law of the vital few and the trivial many. And the reason why I am basically telling about him is because he did it, like, firstly, 100 years ago, after the Wilfredo Pareto even told that. But then after he wrote the book, he did something really interesting, because he even reshaped his original sentence to the law of the vital few and the useful many. Because today we'll understand that we cannot focus on the vital few, but we can get use of the useful many, which are in your titles. So then I found interesting that Microsoft, when they were releasing the Windows XP to the market in early 2000s, they even earlier, but applied the bug dump tool to it. So there was a small button where you could actually send a bug report to them, and they realized that 20% of bugs in Windows XP caused 80% of problems. So that was pretty astonishing discovery for them, because they, on the higher level of management board, could actually, address these problems to the developers. And what was even more astonishing was that 1% of bugs in Windows XP caused 50% of problems. So, by only it's not just, it was, super hard task to do, but only by just, doing a small thing in the development, they could have increased the quality of the product by at least 50% in it. So the last one example, which I would like to present today to you in the terms of not gaming examples, are insurance companies, because they are using that to actually manage risk in the terms of the insurances. And there is a sentence that 80% of accidents are made by 20% of drivers. So this sentence is pretty vastly used to actually to develop the pricing for these who are actually causing these accidents. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And the reason why I am talking about insurance companies is that because there are many cases which you can find everywhere. 2080. I was working before in restaurants, and popular sentence of mine was like, when 20% of positions in the menu are causing 80% of the revenue itself. So it was easy to actually address it to the kitchen, for example, etc., to harness this way as this data as well. But going to gaming industry, this was a little journey of mine when I was actually taking the data from our tools. And I started with game, which I will call Game A. These are real data from our company. I cannot name the game properly. Sorry, it's like, I need to hide this information. But average LTV of the user in here, it's 61 cents. So it's actually hyper-casual title based mostly on IAA. And as you can see in the table, the revenue of almost $10,000 is made by around 57,000 of people. So in share of voice, they are like 72% of whole, and they are only generating 20% of revenue. Then I split the user group to second part, which I will call average in here. These are 9% users who did between 61 and 97 cents of LTV, and they generated 11% of revenue. But interesting part is happening on the bottom orange row. As you can see, 19% of users who did more than 97 cents of LTV generated 68% of the revenue. To present it even more picturesquely in here, you can see this is share of voice in the amount of the users. The orange one will be our whales on the right side. So as you can see, the left side, 18% of people corresponds to 68% of the revenue in here. We cannot treat Pareto rule strictly because Pareto basically is 9% plus 18% in here, that this is always like 20%. You should consider that it can be like sometimes 10%, it can be 30% of the whole group, but they will be called the vital few only in here, and they will be responsible for creating the revenue on the right side in the amount of around 80%. So on this level, I started asking myself a question. Maybe this is only the one example, and I cannot prove it in other titles. And I obviously did, other titles in here. But to present it to you even better, I grabbed another title with $2 of LTV, almost $2 because $1.95. So basically, to speed up, you can see the values are enormously higher than it was before. And 15% of users who did more than $3 LTV generated 70% of revenue in here. And to show it in the graphs as well, as you can see, they were like responsible for doing 70%. So 78%, for instance, were creating 20% of the revenue itself. What's interesting, in this group, we will find superpower users, which I will show to you in a minute. But this was leading me already to some assumptions regarding creatives, the user origin, where they are coming from, what they are up to, and when they are playing. I will present to you later some success story about it as well. But there was a question. Okay, Andrzej, but these games are IAA driven. What with IAP then? And I started to actually dig it deeper. First sentence is that we can't connect the data from IAA and IAP and assume some Pareto because it's just against the rule. We need to have repeatable actions, which are add watches and then actually evaluate this data, or we should do this on the IAP. So I found an example which was only IAP driven in our portfolio with the LTV of the $40. So this example was astonishing for me because when I looked at the data in a place on the orange row in here, you can see that 1,640 people did a revenue of $371,000. And it was like astonishing for me when I realized that these are so-called whales for us. Yeah, we are naming them, in a way that they are whales in full scale in here. But this actually, 13% of users who did more than $65 of LTV generated 73% of the revenue. And again, to my eyes, appeared the same picture. Yes, on the left side, you can see that 20% of people are actually responsible for around 80% of the revenue on the right side. So what's interesting, the group in here, in average, did around $220 in average, each. Then maximum value for one user was $3,000. So I was like super impressed that someone can actually, buy such amount of things in the store. Then I was asking a question: did he buy or she buy whole store or something? And it wasn't whole store, but the game was totally prepared for that. So that's what, for example, Blizzard is doing in Immortal Diablo, for example. You cannot buy everything in the game because it's not possible. And, you can spend, for example, 10% of the whole value, but Blizzard is winning in here. And that was the case. Then I was searching for an answer if he was the only one, but he wasn't. 40 people did more than $1,000 in here. So as you can see, the numbers are here. So in this moment, I asked myself last question, basically, because I was asking a question, okay, so what's happening with super hyper casuals, for example, yeah, or with games which are having like 30 cents of the revenue. And I did analysis. So as you can see on the screen, we can see the game was in soft launch when I was doing the analysis. It was super young project. The values are obviously, smaller than previously showed in here. And the same picture appeared to me. Nothing changed in the structure. So the final conclusion was that no matter the value of the user, no matter the game construction, no matter the the project, the Pareto always will be here. So we were grabbing this 15% of users from each project, and we were starting campaigns which were defining firstly who they are. Then we were starting to creating creatives which were tailored to these people. And believe me or not, but there were some examples that, for example, mothers were giving mobile phones to their children, for example. Yes, when we discovered that, so we tailored the creative especially to these mothers to grab more of them from the user acquisition to actually strengthen the idea in here. So I will present to you a success story in a minute. But that's the Pareto. It's like always 20% of the causes are generating 80% of the outcomes in here. And that can be used everywhere. But in gaming, proof of concept of ours is that what I said. So we tailored the creatives, we did optimization on the campaigns, we basically found how to get to these users. And this is the first graph. This is the revenue. The game was in April, as you can see, in the place where there wasn't much revenue. It was only having like $50. But after 3 months of running, these campaigns, we are constantly growing because the last is July 10th. So right now the data is still in growing, and yeah, that was the success story behind harnessing and understanding who the player was, who was the 20% in here. And then I took another example because it was actually running pretty well. We had somewhere over around $4,000, and after realizing who the player is actually and who the significant player is, we have right now around 10,000 daily of the revenue itself, just by understanding, these things. So observed cases are generating 15 times more revenue than before. ARPU for this titles increased by 3 times in few of them. It's not always easy task to do because sometimes we need to dig very deep to this data, and we need to assume things, we need to test things, and that's not easy task to do, but it's working here. So we did it. We opened totally new line of revenue coming from many titles because this was running for a longer time on the stable, let's say, revenue, and that's something which this is totally new source, I can tell, not just only that on this place. And understanding the significant player is leading us to tailor our creatives effort. So we are even right now creating playables internally to harness this, and many creatives are basing on these assumptions on the audience itself. So that's the proof of concept, and we'll be continuing that because we see the future in it for sure. But how we are doing that? So basically, real-time observations using built-in house tools to analyze the effect. Yes, this is a crucial part because we need to understand the effect all the time in real time. Then we have a knowledge, more or less. It's not that we can tell always that the user is, for example, woman between 80 to 35. Yes, we are assuming, then we are testing that, and if it's the test is becoming positive, then we are assuming that we are sure. So it's a little probabilistic, but if we'll find this, you will see, the example which I showed to you in the previous slide. So we are maxing out our capabilities. So basically, we have internally a team which is designed to actually, grab the game, upsell, add more products to the stores, and etc. So we are preparing a space to these so-called whales to come. We need to have a space because, as you saw, there are people on the market who are willing to spend this $3,000. Yeah, so like we need to have a space for them. Then we are setting up optimizations on campaigns accordingly to discoveries. So if something is coming out from this probabilistic view, let's say, then I am like starting the campaign based on that, and yeah, that's helping a lot in the terms of user acquisition. We obviously follow user experience after install. We are trying to understand how the creative effort, for example, is working on retention, on churn rates, on etc. So that's another factor which is giving us this this success. Then obviously I told this a few times today, but creatives tailored to the audience, I think, is most crucial part in here. And essentially, the creatives tailored to the audience are super important because from this point, I can tell you, for example, that creatives have an impact on retention. If you will place, for example, cinematic video, which is not perfectly aligned to the gameplay, retention will drop. CPI will drop as well, but basically we know that, so that's another factor which is giving us the success. Then we refresh findings and differentiate our strategy often. So it's not that we found golden grail of the user acquisition right now. We are always changing our strategy approach based on the things in here. So that's how we do it. That was my little journey regarding the data and and Pareto in user acquisition. I strongly recommend to you actually to look at the same things in your projects. If you will be interested about some cooperation, even talk about doing this together with us, just please reach me. If you are looking for a publisher as well, please reach us. There is a QR code for my LinkedIn. You can scan it right now. And what I can say more? Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for your time. I hope that you liked the presentation. And yeah, see you next time, hopefully in the next one. Thank you.